Hi everyone, this is Sarah with Alchemy, and my objective with this video is to help you get up and running with using Zoom to run meetings or maybe even your lectures as we all start to work from home. So, at Alchemy, we love to use Zoom. It's a great way to stay connected. It's easiest if you download the desktop application, and then once you have a meeting up and running, the user interface is very intuitive. So when you hover your mouse over the bottom of your screen, you have all the key features you might want to use. The most important of which, I think, as we work at home with our families, are the mute button and start or stop video button. So also with these two, you can change your source. So for example, you could plug in something like a blue snowball to give you a little bit better audio quality, which is what I tend to do for these kinds of video recordings. You can also use a different camera. So you could use the camera built into your computer, or you could use a webcam. And this might be useful for if you need a lower tech option to share drawings. So you could take the camera and point it at a sheet of paper and pretend that is your classroom whiteboard. Another feature that some instructors really enjoy using is that you can choose a virtual background. I've even seen someone who made it look like they're teaching at Hogwarts, so lots of fun options there. Another great feature is this invite participants. It's just a quick way to go ahead and grab the link by clicking copy invitation, and it saves to your clipboard so that then you could paste it into an email and send it to a student or a colleague that you want to join your meeting. Another great feature is this manage participants. So when you're the host of the meeting, you can go ahead and look for a green microphone that's up and running, and then you can mute it so that you cut back on all the background noise, which can be very distracting. And if someone has a lot of background noise, then the rest of your students might not be able to hear you. So just go ahead and make sure everyone's always muted during a lecture. We'll come back to the share option, but another great feature is this chat button. So since you want your students muted, the chat feature still enables them to ask questions, and this way everyone can see the question, which is nice because remember in lecture when someone would ask a question and not everyone could hear it, well now everyone knows what question you're addressing. Record will also be very handy for you. I would strongly recommend recording all your lectures, especially since some students might lose internet connectivity halfway through, or they might just not be able to attend your lecture because their schedules are changing on a day-to-day basis. What's also nice is you can record to the cloud so that you don't fill up your computer with all of these lectures. Now, before you actually start to share your screen, a tip I like to give people is to, one, make sure you have all windows closed that you don't want to accidentally be showing your students, maybe things like your email, and two, also go ahead and turn off notifications so that you aren't getting interrupted or distracted during your lecture, or again, students see something you didn't want them to see. Now, when you go ahead to share your screen, you have a couple options. You can share your entire desktop, which is what I tend to do, so that you can quickly switch between different applications. So maybe you want to go from a PowerPoint to a web page. You can do that without changing what you're sharing, because sometimes when you go to change what you share, it takes a long time for Zoom to catch up and switch the input. There's also a whiteboard feature, which I know a lot of people get excited about, but unfortunately you're limited to your mouse. So instead I would recommend using an iPad if you have it and some sort of note-taking app. And also if you do have an iPad to use, share using the cable, not via AirPlay. In my experience, when I share using AirPlay, there's a really long lag, so it's hard to talk and draw at the same time. Usually I'll give an explanation and then the drawing appears after the fact, which is not conducive to learning. You could also choose a specific window, so maybe you choose a specific Google Chrome window or an Excel page or PowerPoint, things like that. It's totally up to you. So now I'm going to go ahead and share my whole desktop like I was saying, and now my controls are at the top of my screen. So you can still mute and start video, and you could stop share if you need to. But now you can see my desktop, and you can see I'm sharing a web page. And the reason I'm sharing this web page is because of my last tip for you. So if you log into your Zoom account online, you have even more options for controlling your meetings. So for example, you can make sure your participants' video is turned off when they join. They can always choose to turn it on again later. You can also make sure that participants are muted upon entry. And this is where you can make sure you have chat enabled, play sound when participants join or leave. For what I do for my line of work, I do have it turned on, but you'll probably want that turned off since students might be hopping in and out, and that's very distracting to have your computer go ding, 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 ding. You can also turn on this polling feature, and you can set up polls if you plan a meeting ahead of time. You could also make sure students are not allowed to share their screen, so you don't have some sort of inappropriate content being shared. Hopefully students don't go there, but you never know. And also, if you go into the advanced meeting settings, you can turn on breakout rooms so that you could have students go and work in small groups on some sort of activity. And you could send messages to everyone in the breakout room, and they can still ask you questions, and then you could bring them all back together to finish up the lecture. So this is great if you prefer to use active learning in your classroom. And when I'm done, then I can just go ahead and stop share and then end meeting, and you can end meeting for everyone. I hope this was helpful, and best wishes as you transition to this online environment.